We're going to talk a bit about the micro grants, I sometimes call them micro studies, that were funded through this project. Again, the funding coming from the U.S. Embassy in Belmopan. Next slide, please. So I want to give you just a little bit of background. Some of you, many of you, were participated in the first summit that we had in 2019. And at that summit, we released a request for applications for an activity that we called the Governance Accountability Micro Grant for Belizean civil society organizations. We released it at that conference. Again, that was March 6th, 2019. The purpose that we established for this in working in collaboration and coordination with the embassy was to ensure that the activity would improve government accountability through the incorporation of secondary data sources. Since our entire focus was on data, we wanted to make sure that data was included in the activity, but also that governance accountability was promoted. There were two different objectives, and participants were invited to address either one or two or both of the two objectives. So the first objective was to strengthen civil society organizations to develop policies, procedures aimed at reducing corruption and impunity or improved accountability. And two, to increase and enhance civil society and government partnerships to improve service delivery and accountability. In order to be eligible, we set the criteria that you had to be represent a Belizean civil society organization, participate in coordinated technical assistance and training. That means participate with RTI and with Belize Association of Planners in the coordinated technical assistance activities, training, capacity building, and other mentoring activities that we had involved. You had to have a non-discrimination requirement in your charter for the CSO, making sure that the activities that they involved in were fair, and that you had to participate in this year's summit. Well, next slide, please. We received a total of 11 completed applications, and when I say completed, it's because I think there were a handful of others that weren't quite complete. But 11 completed applications were received, and we went through these, scrutinized them actually, using an objective scoring matrix, and I provided here just sort of the header for that matrix that was created by Chris Inkpen. And so essentially there were three sections that we graded, that we scored the applications on: statement of the problem, the project design and implementation overall, and the potential impact. And there was a total, and then these were the points that we assigned to each one. These were reviewed independently by multiple individuals. And in the end, ultimately, we recommended two applications for funding. One was the Belize Assembly for Persons with Diverse Abilities, BAPTA, and their title of their application was BAPTA on the Rise. And the second was AmeriCorps' Higher Education Research and Training Institute, ERTI, and theirs, it was entitled Push and Pull Factors Influencing Women in Governments. The overall period of performance was from January this year to August 2020. So these are activities that are ongoing, and we have been working with both BAPTA and AmeriCorps for the last several months, and we will continue through the end of the project, or through the end of next month. So we're very pleased today to have both on board, talking about their projects and sharing their experiences so far. So first up will be BAPTA, and this is Roxanne Riquera, and she will be talking about what the Belize Assembly for Persons with Diverse Abilities has been doing related to this project.
Greetings. This is the Belize Assembly for Persons with Diverse Abilities, BAPTA on the Rise project. This project is being sponsored through the United States Embassy, the Research Triangle International, and the Belize Association of Planners. My name is Roxanne Marin, and I am the president of BAPTA. BAPTA is the advocacy organization in Belize. As you can see on the banner here, we have our vision and our mission posted selected, and we have all the different aspects and varieties of disabilities that we service. This project is duration of January 2020 to August 2020. The Belize Assembly for Persons with Diverse Abilities is a not-for-profit organization for persons with disabilities that was established in Belize in 2009. We are headquartered in Belize City at the corner of Vernon and Taboo Streets, inside the Mental Health Resource Center, where we rent a small office space. BABTA is an advocacy and support organization, and we do referrals and outreach missions for the population of persons with disabilities in Belize. Presently, we have a registry of 608 persons. However, we do have 300 active adult members with various types of disabilities. BABTA's leadership is run by a board of directors that is in office for 2 years, and that is myself, President Roxanne Marin, Vice President Steve Miles, Treasurer Dion Sutherland, Assistant Treasurer Karima Arnold, Secretary Nicolette Foreman, and 2 advisors, Raisha Dawson and Kent Young. BABTA's leadership is going to be outgoing in a short time before the ending of this year. Actually, it was on the books for us to have our elections in April of this year. However, due to COVID-19, that has been deferred. BABTA is being sustained through a government subsidy of $100 US a month. We get donations from through a local bank to pay for our office space, which is like $150 US a month. And so we continue doing what we do through local funding and through in-kind donations of things to our membership like trucks and pampers and daily medical supplies. Our mission is to seek community inclusion through advocacy, participation, partnership, outreach, and public awareness to empower persons with disabilities to lead a full life. Our vision is to achieve a Belize that is responsive to and inclusive of the rights of persons with disabilities to live a full and healthy life. The purpose of the grant was that we were to concentrate on institutional strengthening, on advocacy, and on governance of BABTA. And so we applied for the grant because the criteria, when we looked at it, we fitted the profile. And so we definitely were able to strengthen BABTA as an advocacy institution. We were able to equip the leaders and the board of directors to be more effective and efficient in managing the funds and in creating advocacy strategies for BABTA. The purpose of the grant was able to assist us to establish and organize confidential means of gathering and maintaining membership information, especially in the time of COVID-19 when our offices was closed for several months. We were able to gain public support about the issues and concerns of persons with disabilities in Belize. And so all those will be featured through the duration of this presentation. The report summary of BABTA on the Rise project. As I said, we were able to conduct a governance training, a small business financial management training, and a training on the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. We were able to develop and maintain a database of our 608 members. We were able to identify 2 BABTA members that had agreed through the funding of this project to be videoed in their daily lives about the challenges that they face. Also, through this project, we had to be tweaking some aspects of it to pay for the editing and the video for the COVID tips for persons with disabilities. Keep in mind, this was a challenging time globally, and so we had to come up with inventive ways as to reach out to our membership and to let them realize that we were here to support them throughout the pandemic. This project was able to also help BABTA reach a long-time goal of developing a website. And ultimately, we were able to launch a petition. Where is it that this project is taking BABTA's issues to the House of Representatives in Belize at the highest level of cabinet? And so definitely we were able to, through the governance workshop in early March, look at BABTA's present issues, look at the past issues. We were able to identify our strengths and our weaknesses, and we're able to determine the future goals of BABTA as it relates to not just this project, but where we'll be going in the next 3 to 5 years. These are the pictures of the governance workshop. It was held at the Stella Maris compound. That is a school for children with special needs, of who the principal is also on the board of BABTA. And so through this workshop, we were able to define the critical moves of BABTA moving forward. The tips on COVID-19. This video was done in late March, when the entire country was on lockdown, and so we were able to get these images done through. I did mine at home on a phone. The sign language interpreter lived in another location, and we sent her that information, and she translated and then sent it back to our video editor. And so he was able to caption all this into the videos, and we were able to disseminate them to the local radio stations and TV stations in Belize. And so we encourage you guys to, if you're not able to have seen these videos as yet, link into the different websites and watch what we were doing through COVID-19 in Belize. We're also able, after the ban was lifted and the country was persons in the country were able to move around again, execute another part of the project, which was the financial management part. We did that in June 2020. And so that training was done through the facilitation of one of the board members that works with the Ministry of Education. For this project activity, we were able to pay the facilitator and to get snacks, move around people for this project. Takeaway from this project was definitely to become time compliance with the different local laws as it relates to financial management of BABTA. We were able to identify the different type of reports that we need to get done. We were able to address the needs for a cash reserve with COVID-19 and us not being able to move around much. And so just overall, how is it that we had a clean-cut way of moving forward, and we're definitely able to create a financial management team that is now active and looking after the funds of BABTA. And so these were members of the BABTA board, BABTA membership, and our district coordinator at that training. Our second training was done on the 4th of July, and the training on the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. This training was done with the facilitator through Google Meets. Was a first experience for us as an organization. Our facilitator was Ms. Beverly Hoffman. She works with the Inspiration Center in Belize and is also a Sisters of Charity of Nazareth. And so under quarantine, she was able to, through Google Meets, facilitate the convention. And I must say our members were very knowledgeable after leaving this training. What was key was, takeaway for us was that Belize had not signed optional protocols of the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities. And so even though the country had signed and ratified that convention in May 2011, this is the next step strategy forward for BABTA to see how is it that we can get our government to sign onto the optional protocols. And so that training was facilitated by NARCE, the National Resource Center for Inclusive Education. We had maintained our social distancing. And so one of the takeaways was that how we could have linked the United Nations Convention on the Rights of Persons with Disabilities to the Sustainable Development Goals, which is the final feature would be done in 2030, and to see how BABTA would be able to link our goals to these two different conventions. Our videos that featured our members, Ms. Myrna Chavez and Mr. Wallace Dilly, is definitely, the link is being aired, and so if you were unable to see these videos before or in the commercials, feel free to link on, go into the links after this and see what it is that the BABTA members face on the daily challenges. And these videos were done to be presented with the cabinet paper to the House of Representatives, which is the highest level of advocacy in our country. BABTA was featured on different media houses as we promoted the BABTA on the Rise campaign. And so you can also link into those, go onto those links and view what was said and what was done and how we promoted the BABTA on the Rise project. And so those links are out there, and feel free on your free time or when you have time to go into them and learn more about BABTA and about Belize and about how we can keep supporting our BABTA on the Rise project. And so this is our petition and website launch, and this was done on the 1st of July, and this was the ultimate goal, having BABTA membership, BABTA board, and the media present, all media houses in Belize. And so we were able to go through our website to bring the importance of the petition and why is it that we're doing the petition, and to launch the videos for persons with disabilities that are BABTA members. And definitely our takeaway, the final project, the final execution of BABTA on the Rise project, is to seek Cabinet's approval to produce a national report where we can identify in areas of transportation, housing, health, unemployment, accessibility, inclusion for social and inclusion for every level for persons with disabilities. For the most part in this country, activities are done for children up to 16 years, and disabilities are lifelong. And so we have to continue lobbying for continuous services for persons with disabilities for the duration of their life. And so we seek Cabinet's approval for the government to address a policy position for supplemental income for persons with diverse abilities and to improve the current legislative framework in order to eliminate disabilitybeliefs.org. We are promoting the BABTA on the Rise campaign. That is on YouTube that you can also go and look at if you haven't been able to see it during this summit. And so we invite each and everyone to support BABTA. Go on the link and sign our petition for persons with disabilities in Belize to take our issues to the House of Representatives. We have been having some support, but we're asking for additional support throughout the country. And so we take this global platform to invite persons to link in, visit our website, and sign our petition. BABTA on the Rise Project 2020, we thank you so much.
Very, very interesting. Good work, BABTA. We're happy that we were able to work with you over the last few months. Next up, we'll be talking with Dr. Abigail McKay from Emergent Corps about their project, which is also very interesting. So Dr. McKay, without further ado, I will turn it over to you.
Good afternoon. My name is Dr. Abigail McKay. I'm the founder and lead researcher of Emergent Corps. I'm happy to be a part of the project that has been funded by the United States Embassy in Belize through the Belize Association of Planners and RTI International. The project, Push-Pull Factors Influencing Women in Governance, champions gender balance in leadership and decision making, looks at baseline data for women in governance leadership, political leadership recruitment, and governance by women. I'd like to tell you just a little bit about Emergent Corps. We are a nonprofit health and human service company established in 2002 and legally incorporated in 2004 with a goal at helping our clients succeed cost effectively in research, management, and capacity development. Our priority objectives primarily are to conduct research, to advance knowledge, and build capacity in a number of areas, all looking at sustainability and development. The research project, Push-Pull Factors Influencing Governance in Women's Leadership. The research question asked, did push-pull factors influence women running for political office in Belize? And if they did influence women, what were these factors? And how did these push-pull factors influence women's participation? The project has been running since January of 2020 and goes through the end of July 2020. We anticipate that we will continue to have a relationship with RTI and BAPS following the end of July. Our sample size, 80 qualitative interviews with women from the national, municipal, and village levels. And the expected outcome of this research is to find out about women's experiences of push-pull factors, the lessons learned, that they learned and recommendations they have from their experiences of greater engagement of and participation by women. For us to determine who would be involved, we had to exclude all the uncontested village councils. Uncontested means that they simply put up a slate that was accepted. We went for villages because the country has over 100 villages. We chose only 6 in each district, and those 6 were determined based on the voter turnout. We did include all women who participated in municipal and general elections because the numbers were relatively small. Next. Our process included reviewing multiple archival data sources of pre-2020 elections, guided, recorded phone interviews with 80 women, and the interview recording, reflection table, and an interview summary for analysis. We looked at quantitative and qualitative analysis of data. So this was the process through which we did this research, this small research. The 2015 national election candidates, and there are some pictures here so you get a sense of who participated. There are 90 candidates in 31 constituencies overall. Only 10 of these candidates were women. 1 was from a third party, and 1 was an independent candidate. All of these women were included in our sample. At the municipal election level, Belize has 9 municipalities. There were a total of 159 candidates. 44 of these candidates were women. 28 of all these candidates ran for mayoral slates, and 3 out of the 28 were women. And interestingly, we saw 1 was from the main opposition party, 1 was from the third party, 1 from the independent candidate. No woman from the governing party ran as a mayoral candidate. Our sample included all women candidates. At the village council election level, there are 190 villages in the 6 districts of Belize. 75 villages had women who ran for the position of the chair, the leader of the village. And this was highest. We had the highest number of women running in the Belize district, the lowest number running in the Toledo district. Our choice, our sample decided not necessarily on how many women chairpersons ran, but the 6 villages with the highest voter turnout in each of the districts. What is interesting here, if you can go back to that slide, is that from all sample villages, you will see on the right-hand column how many chairpersons ran for each of the villages in our sample. Next. COVID-19, unfortunately, came squat in the middle of this research process. And as it has impacted everything else, it certainly did in Belize. Travel and service reductions began early March 2020. And this meant that we had a reduced availability of data collectors, and respondents their attention shifted to their constituencies. This is something that we, of course, had no knowledge that this was going to happen, but we had to deal with it. Additionally, as we returned to services and travel in May 2020, what we ended up having was withdrawal by data collectors not being available anymore to participate. And it meant we had to find new people, we had to find the different strategies, but it also meant that the research at this point overlapped with the beginning of 2020 national election campaign. An election is slated for November, so everybody who's involved politically got engaged in that process. Next. Our preliminary qualitative findings for pull factors. These are words that came directly from some of the candidates, such as, when I look around, I see only pain and suffering of my people. I hear the cries of mothers, fathers, daughters, and sons who have lost their loved ones. That was one of the candidates saying that that's a pull factor. That's why she got involved. Another one said, I've walked in the community feeling the same pinch, feeling the same suffering as herself. And I believe that it is a time for change. These are the things that pulled her into the process. Some push factors to help people to solve their problems, to show that change is possible, to listen to concerns and to work hand in hand to meet challenges and embrace the opportunities to deal with all the issues, the crime, the streets, the drains. These push factors seem to come from the inherent, from the inside of the candidates, where the pull factors were external issues. Next. Preliminary policy considerations we are finding at this point is implementing the recommendations of CEDAW, the Convention on the Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination Against Women. It is important, we believe, as has been recommended in the past, that legislation at the national, municipal, and village level should be passed. An implementation deadline should be set by political parties and for political party implementation of these legislation, policies, and protocols. We also see as policy considerations the need to commit to achieving the targeted 30% target as endorsed by the Economic and Social Council of the United Nations. Belize has signed on to this, and it seems that it is necessary now to set the implementation deadline for the political party implementation of policies on women's representation. And they should further set notification deadlines so that people are aware who their woman political party executive would be. Additionally, we need to expand. We need to see an expansion of the number of women seeking governance leadership beginning in 2020. And this is something that Emergenco is going to monitor. We are going to look at what happens in the upcoming elections. Next. Thank you very much for your participation in this presentation. We look forward to answering any questions you may have. References are available. If you're interested, let us know. This PowerPoint presentation is also going to be made available to you. Thank you.